Hello, and welcome to Lost in Suikoden Translation, where today we'll be taking the title literally. Because this time we're looking at instances where the localizers either just plain forgot to actually translate something or did very little of it. As usual, this video contains spoilers, so without further ado, let's get started. When discussing getting a new headquarters with Matthew, Victor will claim that the previous hideout burned down in the English version. This is a bit strange since there was no fire involved in the attack, and in Japanese he doesn't say anything about it burning down. While it seems that translator just made that up, it's actually a bit more complex than that. Within the script files of the game, this particular scene exists more than once, specifically in the files VA6 and VB1. Without getting into the specifics of how these files work, just know that VA6 contains an unused version, possibly from an earlier revision of the script. While this scene is 99% the same as the one actually used in the game, there is one peculiar difference. Here, Victor does say that the hideout was burned down even in Japanese. Everything else is the same. What most likely happened is that the translator realized that VB1 had the same scene he'd already translated, looked it over and couldn't see any differences, so he just copied and pasted what he'd already done into it to save some time, not realizing there was this tiny difference. Though what makes this interesting is that it suggests that one point the plan was for the Lenankamp hideout to be burned down, but was changed for some reason. When breaking into the dwarves' vault in the original Suikoden, there's a stone tablet in front of the final area that appears to just be gibberish in English. It's supposed to be a hint, as in Japanese it repeats just two sounds in the pattern you should be using, essentially giving you a 50-50 chance of getting it right. Obviously, the translator didn't realize this and thought it was… yeah, I don't really know what he thought it was. At the end of each game, you get a little blurb of text that tells you what each of the 108 stars ended up doing afterwards, and in the original Suikoden, it just says "disappeared" for Sydonia. In Japanese, it was a bit more involved, as it says that Varkas invited him to join the border guards with him, but he disappeared instead. Presumably, this was shortened to fit within the text box, but they might have cut a bit too much. The endings for McDohl and Lepant are vastly different in English compared to the original Japanese. In English, it says that McDohl became the president of the Tauran Republic, but in the original it says that he declined becoming the president. At first, this may seem like a simple typo, but then we get to Lepant's ending. In English, it says he returned to Koan with his family, but in Japanese, it says that he takes up the position of president after McDohl declines. It certainly seems like the translator thought that there weren't going to be any sequels, and instead decided to give the game a more definitive ending. Exactly how he would explain the post-credit scene where McDohl leaves Gregminster will have to remain a mystery. Dokugumo is a spider enemy that appears in Suikoden III, and the name is a bit strange. In English it means nothing, but in Japanese it means venomous spider. They just didn't translate the name. It also appeared in Suikoden II, but there it was translated as kill spider. When Joey and the player receive their respective runes in the shrine, there's a pop-up in the Japanese version telling you that the runes have been embedded in their right hands. For some reason, this is completely removed from the English version. Suikoden II introduced the trading post where the aim is to buy things cheaply and then sell for a profit. In order to help you with this, there are some people that are willing to share some rumors with you to help you figure what to buy and where to take it, as long as you pay a fee for the information. Unless you're playing the US version, that is, in which case you're just throwing your money away, because the person will just tell you absolute gibberish in return. The reason for this is simple. They never translated these files. For whatever reason, the rumor files were completely untouched in the US version, and as such the game is trying to display the Japanese text, but the font used for the Japanese version was replaced with the English font. So it just looks like a bunch of random symbols. This was actually fixed for the European release, but the silver lining is that the rumors are kind of useless anyway, as they tend to be vague, and can even be intentionally wrong, so US players didn't miss much. At the end of Suikoden II, you can return to the area from the start of the game, and you'll encounter some new enemies, but all their names are gibberish. The reason for this is the same as the rumors. Only here they forgot to translate the enemy names, and the game is trying to display the Japanese text using the English font. When you recruit Vicky in Suikoden II, you can tell her that she's cute, and in the Japanese version she'll be very confused and won't understand what you mean, mishearing what you said. In the English version, however, she just says, "Huh?" But it looks strange because it's in all caps and in a parenthesis, and the original text is 2 text boxes, so a lot is missing. And this is the only text in the whole localized game that looks like this, and it's most likely a placeholder. It looks like the translator had trouble understanding what she was saying and put that there so they'd be able to go back and take another look at it later, but never got around to actually doing that. There are several pieces of dialogue that got left untranslated in the English version of Suikoden II, scattered throughout the game, so we'll just go over them here. You already know why it looks like gibberish, so we won't go over that again. If you go to visit Gustav in Tinto, he'll have this to say. And whatever ails Gustav apparently spread to his daughter. And if you go to Rockaxe and talk to the rival shopkeepers from behind the counter, it might look like they're swearing, but they just want you to be on the correct side. If you put Gadget in the second party spot, he'll say this during the Rockaxe mission. And if you put Genjin in the first party slot when fighting the Beast Rune and try to stay and look for Joey, he'll say this. If you put Killy in the second slot and instead choose to leave when the castle starts shaking, he'll chime in with this. And as a final little bonus, in the German language version of Suikoden II, everyone suddenly starts speaking French when you get to the Gregminster area, because the translators either forgot to actually translate these files or just mixed them up. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed this look at some things that were literally lost in translation, and I'll see you next time.